Senators on the Judiciary Committee weaponized the term critical race theory when questioning soon-to-be Justice Jackson and her support for inclusive education.
Well, it's become a pretty morbid bingo game. Is who's going to work in CRT into what context, into a Supreme Court argument, into a circuit court opinion, into a Supreme Court hearing. We are seeing that this has become, to be quite honest, a winning political issue on the right. And we have seen the proliferation of these bills because it has been an effective mobilizing tool. And we expect that that will continue into the fall and into the electoral season. This has been seen as a way of, as I said, sort of tapping into these generalized racial anxieties, discomfort with the changing demographics of America, and the reckoning that we've been experiencing over the last few years, but over the last several generations, and even going back to our nation's founding. People who are uncomfortable with a reckoning with the good, the bad, and the ugly of our past are using education and public education in particular as a battleground. And
how do I know this person is a socialist? Pop quiz. See, I need to start getting more abstract with my pop quizzes, because, like, if I ask things like, what does whiteness mean? Everyone's like, capitalism. If I ask things like, what does queer mean? Everyone's like, it's a political ideology. So I'm going to start getting more abstract with my pop quizzes for the chat, just to make sure you're learning and to keep you on your toes. How do I know this person is a socialist? Anyone want to take a guess? How can we identify socialists in the wild when they show up in things like this? Just based on the language they're using. Just based on... Yup. Great. Everything is a struggle to him. What does struggle mean? Struggle means the perpetual revolution. Their language, exactly. Socialists always use really specific language. He upholds inclusive history, 1619. Truthful history means radical history, which means socialist history. It means history with a far left perspective. He speaks the language, the use of language. No, not the way he dresses. Most people think I'm a socialist based on my haircut and the fact that I have tattoos and stuff like that. His language. Not everyone who's pro-public education is a socialist, although there is more overlap than I would like to think. They talk in code and it gives it away. Struggle equals class warfare. Terms like whiteness, the struggle for liberation, the words they use, not the hat, not the guys. You gotta, listen, guys, you have got to stop judging people based on how they dress. You really do. I have a ton of tattoos. I have a weird haircut. I can quite literally go undercover at socialist events because I look like a fucking socialist. I know how to dress like a socialist. Like, the minute that you guys judge people by their looks is the minute that you get it wrong. We never, ever, 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 ever judge people by their looks. We judge people by their language. By their language. The language is always the giveaway about what political team people are on, because far-left socialists speak very differently than normal mainstream Democrats, who speak very differently than libertarians, who speak very differently than disaffected lefties, who speak very differently than independents, who speak very differently than mainstream establishment shill Republicans, who speak very differently than conservatives, who speak very differently than the far right. Every single one of these groups has a different language. And there is some overlap between them, but you can very easily, if you listen to someone talk for a little while, figure out which political group they're in based purely on the language that they're using.